Santa Claus.
Hello survivors, GhostFake here, and welcome to Survivors Guild, part of the Mutant Fam Horror Consortium, a community of like-minded individuals creating content and building relationships by and for fans of the drive-in. Today, we're taking a look at 2006's remake of 1974's Black Christmas. But first, look into the backstory of that thumbs up button, and go ahead and hang up that subscribe button, and make sure that you place that share button under the tree for the kids. Now I hope you like losing your mom, your eye, and your brother dad all on Christmas morning, because this movie is getting spoiled. Black Christmas, written by Roy Moore and Glen Morgan, and directed by Glen Morgan, starring Katie Cassidy, Michelle Trachtenberg, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Lacey Chabert, Kristen Cloak, Andrea Martin, Crystal Lowe, and Oliver Hudson. Black Christmas is about two rival families who really love each other, some more than others, fighting over a house on Christmas. We open up to the sorority house, Delta Alpha Kappa, and Claire, who is listening to Christmas music while sipping wine and writing a card to her long-lost sister Lee. Ooh, fancy. Who gets stuck while writing the card, and then gets stuck in the eye with her pen when a mystery person throws a bag on her head and deposits Claire into our meat bank at deposit number 1. We then cut over to the criminally insane wing of the hospital, rooms 12 through 25, to this dude who is handing out cookies and milk and making a real mess of things. We also meet Santa Claus, who saw a door ajar and just couldn't help but go through it. And then we meet this here security guard. Santa provides minimal backstory when he recognizes the name Billy Lenz, letting us know that he's the kid that killed his family on Christmas many years ago. And the security guard lets us know that he was locked in the attic for most of his life, and every year tries to break out to get home for Christmas. We then cut over to Kelly, who gives her boyfriend Kyle sleigh balls when she wants to call it a night and go spend Christmas Eve with her sorority. That's probably for the best, Kelly. You wouldn't want to catch an STD or something. He then gets a mystery call that might be coming from inside the house. We then get introduced to Mrs. Mack, the house mother, Dana, Heather, and Melissa. We learn that this sorority has a secret Santa tradition where someone draws Billy Lenz's name and gets a gift for him each year, which means that someone here isn't getting a gift, because I don't see Billy drawing any names, you stupid asses. Mrs. Mack is concerned when she can't find Billy's gift, and no one fesses up to drawing his name. We cut back over to Billy Lenz's cell, where he puts out a little gift for the security guard, and we see what Billy has been working on for the last 10 minutes, a candy shank. The guard opens his gift, and lame, it's just a note. This is as disappointing as when Billy asked for a friend and all he got was a beating. The guard, wanting to break the bad news gently to Billy, letting him know that he won't be home for Christmas this year either, heads into Billy's cell only to find a hole in the wall, and spends a significant amount of time looking at that hole before Billy pops up behind him and candy shanks him into the meat bank at deposit number 2. Cut back over to the sorority house where we get further introduced to Lauren, who teaches Kelly how to knock on doors.
I realize that you're an only child, so let me explain. Christmas is just Darwin. The weak get eaten. We're opening up gifts right now! If you're not downstairs in 5 minutes, your presents are mine!
And then Megan, who is locked up in her own room watching smut. But it's her own smut, so I guess that's okay? Oh no, but it's her and Kyle's smut! Megan pauses her Christmas Eve festivities when up in the attic there arose such a clatter that she went up there to see what was the matter. Up into the attic she flew like a flash, only to find Claire a victim of Slash. And before even she knew that her sister be dead, the mysterious killer plucked her eyes from her head, plucking Megan into our meat bank at deposit number 3. We cut over to Santa, who is being sexually harassed by this nurse, but figures out what the hell, and just rolls with it.
Hey Santa, if I sit on your lap, will you give me what I want for Christmas?
Hashtag not my Santa. But before Santa can make a deposit of his own, Billy deposits him into the meat bank at deposit number 4. Billy then dons the costume to make his way out of the clinic, and then ditches the costume and the sack of joy into the dumpster. We cut back over to Delta Alpha Kappa, where we learn that Heather was the one who drew Billy's name, but she just couldn't bring herself to buy a serial killer a Christmas gift. Heather reveals herself to be obnoxious.
Oh, whatever, Melissa. Okay, I'm just offended by a pagan sacrifice to ward off evil spirits on Christmas.
Before we find out that this is one big house of obnoxious.
Christmas is more about warding off evil spirits than Halloween. What Christmas in this room resembles anything Christian, huh? It's all neo-pagan magic.
before Mrs. Mack interrupts to give us a backstory. We flash back to 1970 to Billy's first Christmas, where we learn that Billy is yellow because he had wicked jaundice as a kid. Oh man, that's some wicked jaundice right there. We learn that his mom, Constance, hated her husband Frank and hated Billy because he reminded her of Frank. Cut to 5 years later in 1975, where Constance breaks the news to Billy that Santa is dead.
Why are you bothering putting with those cookies? Santa ain't coming to see you. Santa Claus is dead.
Well, that's kinda right. But Frank, who's determined to keep his kid from becoming a serial killer, sends Billy to his room where Billy finds a gift from Santa stuffed inside a hole in his closet. Well, anyway, Billy is happy to receive this Apollo-Soyuz model, no matter how creepy this Santa appears to be, hiding presents in the walls and all, but gets curious when he can hear his parents fighting. He sneaks into the hallway and peeks under the door just in time to see his dad get added to the meat bank at deposit number 5. Later, while Billy is hanging out in his closet, he hears some commotion downstairs and climbs down through the walls to find his mom and her boyfriend burying Frank in the crawlspace. But when Billy peeks too loud, they see him through a hole in the wall and run into the house to catch him. Billy climbs into the attic and his mom locks him up there for safekeeping. Flashback to present day when the landline in Alpha Delta Kappa starts ringing. Kelly answers it and then puts it on speaker so that everyone can hear when she thinks that someone is in trouble. But the person or people on the other line spout a bunch of nonsense that at this point is exactly that, nonsense.
Billy, what have you done? What have you done? Where's Agnes? She's my family now.
They look at the caller ID and see that the call came from Claire's cell, before the sisters again reveal how insufferable they are.
Yeah, run to daddy.
At least my family wants me to come home.
And when Heather goes to leave, she runs into the highly suspicious mystery sister Eve, whose sole purpose is to act as a red herring and maybe die later? We'll see.
You're all, like, my family now.
We then get whiplash when we're thrown back to 1982, where Constance and her lover are going for a sleigh ride at the top of the stairs. Ugh, yuck. But when her lover passes out, Constance remembers that she has a little drummer boy locked up in the attic, and she lets Billy know that Santa Claus is coming to town. Ugh, yuck. Hey, does anyone else feel like incest is overly maligned in horror movies? Yeah, neither do I. Anyway, this violation of God's creation results in the birth of Agnes 9 months later, and given what the Wrong Turn series has taught us, you know that that baby is going to have some superhuman strength. Anyway, cut back to Eve, who is definitely not Agnes, who disappears before Mrs. Mack can give her her gift. Hey, that's exactly what an Agnes would do. When we find out that Agnes, I mean Eve's mom, was a legacy, which is why she is in the sorority. And Lauren gets drunk. The phone rings again, but this time it's a call from Megan's cell. But it's still the same old nonsense as before.
Hey, where are you?
She's my family now. Everyone should be home for Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas.
Kelly runs upstairs to see if Megan is in her room, only to get jump scared by Kyle, making up a bullshark story about how he wanted to spend Christmas Eve with Kelly, but had to sneak through Megan's window, when in reality he broke into Megan's room in order to delete their smut video. And while the group deliberates on who made the call, Kyle gives us some more backstory on Billy Lenz, by way of flashback. Cut back to 1991, where Billy receives a telescope for Christmas, probably as a gift for producing his sister-daughter 8 years prior, which Billy uses to spy on the Who's in Whoville, which made him burn with a hatred he couldn't retire. When downstairs Agnes opened her gifts, Billy slipped down like a slip slimery fish. Constance smoked in the kitchen a right bitter old cow. When Billy called the house from in the house. Wait a second, how did he call the home phone with the home phone? Anyway, Constance runs into the living room only to find Agnes missing. She and her lover run up to the attic, but Billy isn't there. So they head back downstairs only to find that Billy was in the family room the entire time. And he was busy plucking out Agnes's right eye. And we know that it's her right eye because she's only got one left. Stepdad, realizing that he hasn't hugged Billy enough, charges him to let him know that he's not trying to replace his dad. He just wants to be friends. But Billy misreads the situation and plunges a dangerous looking Christmas ornament right through his skull, decorating Billy's stepdad right into our meat bank at deposit number 6, before stringing up Christmas lights all over his mom. Ah, the kills are so festive this time of year. And then dragging her into the kitchen at deposit number 7. And then cutting into her dead body to make flesh-flavored flesh Christmas cookies. Hey, waste not, want not. And then the cops show up and take him to Clark's sanitarium.
Billy was declared insane.
Kyle wraps up his Christmas story when the ladies hear a loud bang downstairs, which turns out to be Claire's sister, Lee, who is looking for Claire. And after everyone introduces themselves, Lee points out a gift under the tree to Billy. Only it's actually from Billy, and when they open it, they find so many callbacks to all the flashbacks in the movie. That newspaper was used to wrap it? Oh, and it's that box that his model came in. Oh, and the eyeless baby doll that Agnes had. It's all really coming together. It's almost like a well put together movie, just done really poorly. Cut over to Kelly and Kyle when Kelly suggests they look at Megan's computer, but Kyle doesn't feel too great about that given that his smut is on the screen. And then they can hear someone moving around upstairs. Heather and Mrs. Mack play detective when they realize that the paper used to wrap the gifts from Billy is the same paper that definitely not Agnes used to wrap Heather's present. And Lauren throws up all over the place. And Lee finds the gift that Claire died while wrapping. And then the power goes out, which means that Megan's computer, which went into screensaver, now jumps to battery mode, showing Kelly the smut video. Kyle claims that it was from before he and Kelly met, and that some dude at work stole his tapes and put them on the web. Cut over to Heather, who has found Billy's hiding spot in his closet, which is in Eve's, definitely not Agnes's room. Kelly and the girls kick Kyle out.
Shut the f*** up!
Hey, go, Kyle, now!
Send Lauren to the bathroom.
F*** all you bitches.
Get out of here now!
And decide to check the breaker. Dana figures out that the main breaker is underneath the house and decides to go check it out, while Lauren gets ready to take a shower in a bathroom that literally seems to be falling apart. And literally made out of eyes. Before Melissa puts her down for the night. Cut over to Dana, who is going to have a smoke before trekking under the house. But this icicle, that's been trying to get her to quit smoking for years, finally gets her to quit, adding like 15 seconds to her life. She drops it down a hole in the porch and hears someone moving around down there, and decides to check it out.
Eve, you crazy I can see your breath.
Dana gets pulled under the house and grabs a gardening fork and stabs her assailant. But her assailant then uses it to cultivate our meat bench by planting Dana at deposit number 8. Kelly gets a call from Dana's cell and hears some of the same nonsense as before, and the group runs out to find her. Heather and Lee notice that Eve's car is still in the street, and they go over to check it out. And when they open the door, Eve's severed head falls into the snow, dropping Eve into our meat bank at deposit number 9. The group runs back inside, only to find that the landline is down. And when Kelly gets a hold of 911 on her cell, she lets them know what's going on. But the police will be delayed because of the storm. Mrs. Mack and Heather decide to get into the car and go get help. But Kelly thinks it would be better if they stuck together. The real tragedy here is that all these murders are really tearing this sorority apart. What a shame. Mrs. Mack and Heather get out to the car, but Mrs. Mack has to get out and scrape the windows because Heather has never seen a window scraper before. Mrs. Mack scrapes the windows like she's never seen a window scraper before. But when the car's a swaying, don't bother scraping, cause when the car's a bleeding, you won't be leaving, rhyming Heather into our meat bank at deposit number 10. Mrs. Mack, disappointed that she would let Heather explode like that, backs away, right into our meat bank when an icicle drops and punctures her skull right into the meat bank at deposit number 11. Lee and Kelly decide to go check on Heather and Mrs. Mack, since they couldn't see what happened, but Lee slips on blood. Melissa leaves the room to find out who was and why they were screaming, but gets attacked by Definitely Not Eve. But before she can get out the window, Definitely Not Eve hits her with an ice skate, opening her skull to reveal Melissa at deposit number 12 into our meat bank. Meanwhile, Lee and Kelly can't get out to the car since Mrs. Mack's body is blocking the way. They run back into the house and head to Lauren's room, but Melissa is nowhere to be found. Kelly calls Melissa's cell, only to find that the light on Melissa's phone shines through the paper-thin ceiling above them. Kyle busts into the room and throws Lee against the bed, revealing that Lauren was deposited into the meat bank sometime earlier at deposit number 13. Unless you watched the unrated cut or director's cut, then you saw her get deposited. But alas, I did not. Lee and Kyle start accusing each other of being the killer, but Kelly calms them down by showing them the paper-thin ceiling. The three of them decide to head up to the attic. Lee is still holding out hope that Claire wasn't the first person to die in this movie, and Kyle makes a deal with them.
Wait, if we go up there, the second we see they're dead, we run the out of this house.
That's the stupidest deal I've ever heard. That's the exact kind of deal that you make if you don't want to survive. Kyle anticlimactically opens the hatch, until climactically he gets pulled into the attic by Shawn Wayans from the White Chicks. The girls make their way into the attic, while Kyle tries to make his way away from Not Eve, before making his way into the meat bank at deposit number 14. Lee discovers that Claire is in fact already a meat bank deposit. Cool, you guys can leave now, while Definitely Not Eve cuts out Kyle's face testicles, eyeballs. Leave tries to leave by way of falling through the ceiling. Agnes then lights some candles, only to show that this sorority has a wicked dead body infestation in the attic, complete with a sadismus tree decorated with face testicles and the head of Definitely Not Agnes.
You're my family now.
Lee finishes leeing the attic, but doesn't stick the landing. And before Kelly can join her, Definitely Not Eve tries to add her to her Christmas decorations. The two duke it out for a while, knocking over dead bodies and live candles. And in the climax of the chaos, Definitely Not Eve falls into the wall, pulling Kelly in with her, which leaves Kelly stuck inside a wall, and between a dad-brother and a sister-daughter place. Lee starts breaking into the wall with a dumbbell to get Kelly out of there, but instead finds a Billy. She breaks away from him and runs into a different room and continues trying to get Kelly out of the wall, while the fire is growing. She gets Kelly out of the wall, and then the two do what they can to help the fire intensify before they run out of the house, leaving Not Eve and Billy to nurture their newfound pet fire. Cut over to the hospital, and this dude working in the morgue to identify the bodies, before he gets identified as deposit number 15 into our meat bank. Cut over to Kelly and Lee, when Lee just can't wait to open her gift from her dead sister. And we finally get our updated reboot of the Gift of the Magi. You know, cause Lee got Claire the sister she always wanted, but she can't use it now because she's dead. But Claire got Lee a watch engraved with Family Forever, but Lee won't need it in 10 minutes. It's the Gift of the Magi, sort of. Cut to 10 minutes later, after the nurse took Kelly away for some x-rays, when Lee hears something banging around in the ceiling and leaves to check it out. She returns to the room and finds that Kelly is back in the room. Only it's not Kelly, it's Definitely Not Eve. And Definitely Not Eve then deposits Lee into the meat bank at deposit number 16. Kelly returns to her room only to find that left must have Lee, and then the nurse lets us know that this room has a messed up door.
They were supposed to have someone fix this.
She then finds Lee's bloody watch under her pillow and tries to leave before noticing that the light is bleeding. She hits the emergency button and the nurse's station is too busy being entertained by carolers to do their job. She tries the door again, but Definitely Not Eve drops from the ceiling and grabs her while Kelly grabs a defibrillator. She hits Not Eve in the face with a high voltage punch, defibrillating Agnes Not Eve into our meat bank at deposit number 17. Billy drops from the ceiling while Kelly breaks out of the room and then she beats him with a crutch. He continues chasing her down the hallway as nurses and hospital workers stand by doing nothing before she leads him to a stairway. She tosses him over the edge and Billy hits a Christmas tree on the way down, but lands into our meat bank at deposit number 18, and the movie ends. So now, to find out, what are your chances of suffering survivor's guilt? This is where we take a look at our main characters and the death that surrounds them to determine your chances of surviving this movie. We start off our meat bank deposits with Claire, autographing her way into our meat bank at deposit number 1, followed by our guard, sweetening our meat bank at deposit number 2. We then get Megan investigating her way into our meat bank at deposit number 3. Then Horny Santa attempting to deposit his own meat into the bank at deposit number 4. We then get Frank flashing back into our anachronistic deposit number 5, before we flash forward, but not too far forward, to see Billy's stepdad get ornamented into our meat bank at deposit number 6, followed by Constance being strung up into our meat bank at deposit number 7. We then get Dana getting planted at deposit number 8, and Definitely Not Agnes not Agnesing into deposit number 9. Heather explodes into deposit number 10, followed by Mrs. Mack getting a new face piercing at deposit number 11. Melissa loses a chunk of her skull into our meat bank at deposit number 12, followed by Lauren, who cannot see that she's deposit number 13. We then then get Kyle at deposit number 14, followed by the drunk morgue worker at deposit number 15. We then get Leave when she leaves the movie and enters our meat bank into deposit number 16, followed by Definitely Not Eve, Agnesing into our meat bank at deposit number 17. And wrapping up our meat bank deposits, we got Billy, topping our unusually festive meat bank deposits at deposit number 18. Now let's take a look at our survivors. We've got Kelly, and that's it, which means that out of a total of 19 characters, only one survives, which means that you have a 5.26% chance of surviving this movie. Given those odds, how would Billy and Agnes make you part of their family now? And how unusually festive would it be? Let me know in the comments below. And if this is your first time on my channel, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And thank you guys for bringing so much life to my channel over the past year. It's seriously been super cool seeing all of the comments and growth. Thank you guys for that. It's been awesome, and I look forward to an even better 2021. And as always, guys, thanks and Merry Christmas.
Hello, internet fans. Do you want to learn about horror movies that you never knew existed? Do you miss the video store but not the late fees? Then join us at 3B Video, where we talk about stuff like this, and this, and this. If you'll excuse me, I've got some videotapes to return. You like Huey Lewis in the news?